other, you want a legacy. With one, you go into the game and you drop the mic. But with the other, you go into games and help others win and help pass the mic on from generation to generation to come. And a lot of times, in living the life of a legend, you're not really doing it for yourself, but you're doing it for something so much bigger, to leave a legacy behind, so much more meaningful. Oftentimes, you just have to forget about what you can do and focus on what God needs to do through you in that time and place. You see, David began to live that life in a story where Goliath was the champion. You see, Goliath comes out to face the forces of Israel, and he's over 9 feet tall. He wore a bronze helmet and a bronze coat of mail that weighed over 125 pounds. He also wore bronze leg armor, and he carried a bronze javelin sword on his shoulder. So this dude is very extra, we have already established. Not only is he this huge born-to-be champion, 9 foot tall, but he has everything he needs to win this battle. So imagine the surprise of Saul's army when little bitty sweet David, the youngest of the sons of Jesse, who's not even in the army, runs up on him and says, "Hey Saul, come here, I'm ready to fight." And Saul's like, "No. Are you kidding? No." He said, "Don't be ridiculous." He said, "You can't possibly win, so you can't fight. You see, this man has been a man of war since his youth, and you're just a boy." But David didn't look at that world's reality and say, "Oh, I missed that he was 9 feet tall. Yeah, I'll catch y'all later." He stepped right into that. He persisted, and he said, "No, listen. You see, I've been taking care of my father's sheep and goats. When a lion or a bear came to steal a lamb from the flock, I would go after it with a club, and I would rescue the animal from its mouth. If this animal would turn on me, I would catch it by the jaw, and I would club it to the death. I have done this for both lions and bears, and I will do it again for the Philistine too, for he has defied the armies of the living God. And the same God that rescued me from the clubs of the lions and bears is going to rescue me again from the Philistine too. So let me fight." And Saul, and Saul looked at him with that extraordinary faith, and he said, "Wow, all right, go ahead, and may the Lord be with you." You see, when I read this over this second time, it really struck me just the amount of extraordinary faith David had to have, and just the amount of spiritual reality he had to see versus the world's reality that was put right in front of him. And I thought, wow, would I have that much faith to do that? And you know, for a long time in my life, I did not have that kind of faith. In fact, the very first time I got asked to be on the winter janitor, I said, "No way." But my mom said yes. And I was like, "Are you serious?" I was like, "No, Mom, come on, no. I cannot do that." She's like, "Why?" I was like, "What do you mean, Mom? Do you see how many people are out there? Do you know how much anxiety I hold in my heart? Do you know that's my #1 struggle? It's fear, and that is the biggest giant in my life. And Mom, I'm just afraid. I can't do this." And she looked at me in my weakest moment, and she did not say, "No, Sadie, it's okay. You don't have to do it because you're so afraid, and you are full of anxiety, and you're not worthy." No. She looked at me, and she said, "Sadie, now is when you need to go, because it is in your weakness that His strength is going to be made perfect in all." My mom was able to remind me of something very, very important, that I am not here on this earth to tell my story and to win my victories. I'm here on this earth to tell His story and to preach about His victories that He has already won. You see, when we begin to understand that mentality, that it is in our weakness, and humble ourselves enough to exalt Him higher, amazing things happen. You know, as I've been on this journey of finding my strengths through my weakness, all those things, I started to realize that in other people. And one of the best stories I can tell y'all to encourage you is my friend Lake. His name is Lake, and I didn't know anything about him whenever I met him, besides the fact that he was filled with a lot of fear. So that's why I came into this situation. I thought maybe I could help him out. But as we began to talk, I started to realize that this Lake guy is like super smart. Like words this big